last week's lesson totally, it was like an epiphany. She said, it was a game changer. I realized that I was so under the pressure of my work and how hard it is and how hard I work and how little pay I get and how drained I am when I get home and how my kids are so much energy and I love them, but I was so negative. It's like, I realized the problem is me. My kids are me. My energy is feeding into them and they're reflecting it back to me. So I'm blaming them and it's me. Think about how powerful that moment is for that mom. Mm-hmm. That was 4 weeks ago, and I'm telling you, she never looked back. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my incredible co-host, Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth. Gosh, I wasn't here last week. Did you guys miss me?
Totally missed you. Had Arnold. He was in the house, but It was different because he's producer Arnold, right? He's producer Arnold. He's back there in the hot seat. Uh-huh. And so I had nobody right here, so it was a little strange, looking across the room at Arnold through all the camera stuff. And so, yeah, it's good to have you back.
And Arnold is making us move closer and closer
for
this shot.
Yep, and we're like siblings, so we like that.
We
Siblings
love
like
it.
to be close, so it's awesome. If you just tuned into the show, thank you so much for tuning in. Just so you know, you can listen to this anywhere that podcasts are streamed. You can also watch us at YouTube at the 5-Star Life. And if you have a second, make sure if you haven't done this yet, go check us out online, 5starlife.org. We are on a laser-focused mission to change the face of culture, of education, of sports. So anything that kids are wrapped up in, we want to change it. And we found that it's by targeting their operating system, their mindset, the way they think, the way they behave, all those actions. It comes from that place, that core place inside of a kid. And so we've developed curriculums and programs for the last 19 years that get to the root issues, and we're having a huge impact. So thank you for tuning in. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more.
We shared about the innovative learning that's going on right now up at Summit.
What an incredible program. So innovative learning, 5-Star Life Innovative Learning, it actually was named by a local principal. There was a group of a half a dozen principals that we sat in a private meeting with, and behind closed doors, they just said, these are veteran, really sharp, intelligent people that are passionate about kids. And they just said, we are struggling. Our test scores are bad. Kids don't want to be in the seats learning. And we keep on trying to tweak it and make changes, but it's still not working. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Right. They said, we just need change. And we just said, we have this 350-acre, facility, this campus that's beautiful. We have all these programs. Why don't we work together on aligning our programs with state standards, and let's do school the old-fashioned way, hands-on learning, experiential learning. And I remember the principal said, here's what I wrote down, 5-Star Life Innovative Learning. I'm like, that's it.
Thank you for the name.
That is it. And so it is, we're in our 5th week. Actually, tomorrow's our 5th week of this new pilot program. We've got 500 kids, and it's just going phenomenal. It's amazing. We had one of our great new partners is Beacon Health, and we have all these programs, nature programs and equine programs that we've already ran, but for health and science, that's a new area of not just expertise, but there's so much you can do with the medical community.
Oh, yeah.
And so Beacon came on board and said, we'll bring our educators into this space. So those people that are training nurses to go into the field, they're the ones that are teaching kids CPR and all these life-saving things that are super practical and fun. We've already got kids that are telling their teachers at school, I want to go into the medical field And like, I want to be, do imaging. I want to do scanning. I want to do this. And there's kids that are asking their teachers, and they've gotten them resources, different books about a specific medical field. Why? Because all of a sudden learning is coming alive and it's interesting. I mean, this is just in the first 4 weeks.
Wow. And you know what? They would never have had that opportunity.
No.
Unless they came out to Summit.
Yeah. So these are sixth graders, right? So fifth and sixth graders. So the exciting thing about this program, Mia, is why are we waiting until kids are 10th grade, 11th grade before we start to talk to them about career pathways? By that time, kids that are checked out of learning are gone. And kids that are curious and on a path, they're already on a path. But there's this huge group in the middle that are just like, I don't even know what these things are. So giving them early exposure. So you think about kids, 5th and 6th grade, if we can follow them for 5-6 years, it's going to be an absolute game changer for kids getting skills, employability skills, but also just having exposure to all different types of industry and work.
And Keenan, our camp director, was sharing yesterday that there was one kid that he's watched these last couple of weeks, and nothing really, spoke to him until they had the dummies and were doing CPR, and he said his eyes lit up, and just the thought that he could participate, and he said it just hit him like, that's it. Like, this kid loves, like the medical field.
And that's the whole point of innovative learning, is that there are all these touch points and all these things that can create a spark. And every parent, every grandparent knows this. We've watched, if we've lived some life, you've seen kids, there's a special point in their life where there's a turning point where they come alive. And the sad tragedy that we're in the middle of is, kids are being raised by technology. And so they're missing all these opportunities for the spark of life to hit them. And that's what this program does. So we have now a growing list of schools that are saying, hey, next fall, we want to be part of this innovative learning thing because it ties right in with curriculum. They get credit for school, and it's engaging. And teachers, this is why teachers sign up to teach, to help kids come alive, that spark, right? That life, that love for learning.
What's the feedback been from the teachers?
So far, teachers, it's interesting because the first cohort, teachers were a little bit skeptical just because I think teachers have innovation fatigue. There's so many programs and ideas that come their way, and it can just feel like one more thing I have to do. I have to tweak, I have to change, and it's more effort. And oftentimes they fall short of what they say they're going to do, the programs. And so this has been the exact opposite. They came in, some of them were really excited, but most of them were just kind of like, let's wait and see.
Yeah.
And they are just pumped. They have gotten into a groove where, here's the other cool thing. There's this beautiful collaboration that takes place when teachers come to Summit because now they have support. It's not just them teaching their kids by themselves. It's one day a week. There's other teachers, there's other staff that have energy and are trained well to connect with kids that come alongside. So it's not that you're giving teachers a break, but you're giving teachers a boost, right? And just a little shot in the arm. So they've really enjoyed it.
You know what? Can you kind of talk about any disciplinary incidents or? Yeah.
So the first week was like culture shock, just because the school that we were working with, again, this is brand new for them. And it was a group of kids that many of them are not necessarily excited about learning. So they're now stepping into our home, our environment, our culture. They already have a culture. And so the two cultures collided the first week. And it was kids pushing the envelope, testing our staff. Are they serious about this? Do they care about me? And where are the hot buttons? Where are the buttons, the pressure points in this new staff, these new adults that I can get control and manipulate them and try to get reactions out of them? This is what middle school kids dream about, right? Control, power, action. And so it's why I love middle school kids. But as they realize, okay, I'm pushing the button, there's no reaction, there's just redirection. Okay, me checking out isn't working. They're redirecting me. They're making me think critically. They're making me engage. They're making me use the journal prompts. They're forcing me to write in a very kind way, but they're forcing me to stay in the game. And there was a clash the first week. They didn't like that there was resistance. And the second week, it got just a little better. The third week, it started to shift. Why? Because now our staff knows names and faces. Now there's a relationship and connection. And it just starts to shift. The fourth week, it was like a different world. And so it's very powerful. We even had some of our partners say the same thing. Like one of the Beacon staff members said, it is a night and day difference from week 1 to week 4. Night and day difference. And the cool thing, the Beacon educators just said, the amount of content that kids can recall. I mean, it's really, they're learning. They're retaining the information. So very successful. We're just in our first 4 weeks.
Gosh, and I've been there just a little bit, but just what I've seen is like we have provided a lot of variety for them too in each rotation. And so they're not just doing one activity. They're doing like a couple things within the rotation. So many opportunities. Yeah.
So for those of you listening or watching, this is your on-ramp to get involved with 5-Star Life or anything we're doing at Summit, our 350-acre training facility. We need more volunteers. We need skilled workers that want to teach or volunteer or serve in some way to really pour into the next generation. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more.
Did you know that you can bring the values, lessons, and mindsets Coach Seth discusses on the 5-Star Life podcast to your local community? Schools are searching for programs and content that work. Just a simple introduction to your teacher or principal could be a game changer in your community. Inquire at 5starlife.org and someone from our team will be in touch.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with Coach Mia. And we've got producer Arnold in the house. Arnold, say hello.
5-Star Nation, Coach Seth, Coach Mia. What's going on, guys?
Hey, I love Arnold always addresses 5-Star Nation, which I appreciate because there is a 5-Star Nation. There's more of you that are following us, which it's a great reminder. If you have watched this once or twice and you like it, click the subscribe button, follow us so that you don't miss a show, an episode. And just a reminder, you can listen to this anywhere podcasts are streamed. You can watch us on YouTube at The 5-Star Life. And you can leave a comment. You can give us your feedback. You can give us conversation topics, things that you want to know about youth culture, about working with kids and education. We would love to go down those bunny trails with you. We love your ideas. We love your feedback. So thank you for those of you who are commenting and liking and sharing, most importantly. Listen, if we're going to change culture, we need everybody to do their part. And I know it sounds so simple, but just simply subscribing or liking or sharing something is a big deal because that's the way you can leverage your leadership, which is a great segue into what we've been talking about on the show for the last, I think, 7 episodes. We've been talking about how to really break through in leadership, which we define as just leadership is influence. Mm-hmm. And we all have influence everywhere we go. I mean, a smile has an influence. A frown has an influence. A good attitude has an influence. A bad attitude has an influence. So we have influence everywhere we go, but we aren't cognizant of it. We miss the fact that everywhere we go, we have an influence. We have a vibe. We have an energy that goes out to the world, and it does make a difference. So the question is, what are we doing with that influence and that leadership? And one of the cool things that we do here at 5-Star Life is we leverage our leadership and our influence to transform kids' lives. And last night, we celebrated our 9th graduation, our 9th cohort of our 5-Star Life SNAP Leadership Program.
9th cohort. 9
cohorts. So they're 6 weeks long. And for those who just tuned in or not familiar with what we're talking about, SNAP is a program that we started not quite 2 years ago in partnership with the South Bend Police Department and the JJC in South Bend. St. Joseph County Juvenile Justice Center is what that refers to. And they asked us to create a program, Mia, for kids before they get into trouble with the law that lands them in detention, but they're just doing minor infractions that it's not serious enough. They know that a certain percent of those kids will graduate to higher offenses. So they said, could you create a program like a net to catch these kids before they get into the system? And we'll call it SNAP. So in a quick amount of time, we can kind of turn them and shift their energy away from the system. And the caveat is we want this not just to be for kids, but for their parents as well. So the SNAP program is born, and huge success, 87% success rate so far, which means 87% of the kids do not take the next step, which that's a big deal, according to judges and prosecutors and people at the State House. So we've gotten some support to move forward and to grow it and expand it, which is exciting. But I wish everybody could just be a fly on the wall at the program, because parents come in, kids come in apprehensive, and some more than apprehensive, some just irritated that they have to be there because they're ordered to be there. Mm-hmm. But I've watched last night, as we wrapped up, we're standing there talking with some of the volunteers that volunteer, which if you have a heart for kids that are in minor trouble or for their parents, and you're interested in either coming alongside the parents and being a mentor and just a support system to parents, it's a 6-week voluntary position, work with kids or parents, we need your help. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more and to get involved. Reach out to us and we can sit down and talk. You don't have to sign your life away by applying. Just inquire. We'd love to talk to you about this, but we need an army of people because this program's got to scale. It's so successful. We got to branch out. But we're talking last night, and one of the volunteers just said the difference. She was standing back watching, and she just had this flashback to the first day of the program when this one mother and her 2 daughters came in, and as they were leaving, they didn't want to leave on the 6th week. They're just hanging out, talking, laughing. And it's the mom and it's the daughters, and they're all laughing and joking and talking and connecting. And the first week of the program, they're at war. I mean, at war, at each other's throats. I mean, the whole energy in the room shifted when they walk in because you could feel just the vibe was so negative. And the breakthrough came the 3rd week. The mom, who was feeling the pressure, being a single parent mom who works full time, right? And who has, there's pressure. There's bills. She has health issues. There's all this stuff going on. And now you have a daughter that's unruly in school and getting into fights and showing attitude. And you have all this, that's a lot of pressure. And the mom comes back the following week after SNAP one week and just smiling and bubbly and different. And she could not wait to share. She's like, last week's lesson, totally, it was like an epiphany. She said, it was a game changer. I realized that I was so under the pressure of my work and how hard it is and how hard I work and how little pay I get and how drained I am when I get home and how my kids are so much energy and I love them, but I was so negative. It's I realized the problem is me. My kids are me. My energy is feeding into them and they're reflecting it back to me. So I'm blaming them and it's me. Think about how powerful that moment is for that mom. Mm-hmm. That was 4 weeks ago. And I'm telling you, she never looked back. She's a different person. And the difference in their home, again, her girls are growing and taking steps too, right? It's not all in the mom. My point is, parents have so much influence. And she latched on to, man, it's my responsibility. If I can shift my day. She said it was the matter of just flipping my mindset every morning when I get up, today is going to be a great day. And I can choose to be really positive and go about this with a positive energy. And that everything's going to work out. And I can just make sure I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna make sure I'm bringing just joy and peace everywhere I go, instead of waiting for it to come to me. Said, I get home from work and I still have energy. I have energy at work. It's at work, it's changed the level of energy I have. So it's just fun to hear that.
It is fun, and it's fun when you're in that position and you see the changes, but then you also see those people that they are waiting for somebody else to change them, and you feel sorry for them because you're like, the power's inside of you.
Yeah.
To change.
So there's another one too. So I had a dad, this father comes in, this is their second cohort. They returned voluntarily. They're out of the system. They're off the hook, but they came back because, as they say it, like, this is the only family they have. Both sides, the gentleman's mother died of AIDS 10 years ago. His father was never in his life. Well, not actively in his life. Mm-hmm. So these are like orphaned adults. And they just said, we've never had any support or anybody love our kids and love us. And so this last 6 weeks, we're going through the curriculum we take kids through, talking about how to break through in motivation and talking about setting a vision of where you want to go, setting goals, and then wrapping belief around, actually believing you can achieve that, and then actually taking action towards it, and then developing the right habits to get you there, and then making sure the people you're surrounded by are feeding into that vision, right? And so this dad comes in, I'm talking to another grandmother, and he's standing there patiently waiting for me. I can just tell he's just excited about something. Well, their vision, him and his wife's vision, is to own their own restaurant someday. They both are trained chefs, and they work in the restaurant business, but they've always had a desire to have their own thing. And so they've mapped this out during the program. Wow. And he comes up, he shows me his phone. He's like, you wouldn't believe this, Coach said. Coach said, you wouldn't believe this. He's like, I got a smoker. You wouldn't believe it. It's like all the stars lined because he'd written down like, what's a step I can take, a baby step. And he's like, equipment, just start looking at equipment. So he got a smoker. He had the best deal. He saved like $500 on a smoker. He said, this is just divine. And so I said, isn't it amazing when you start to get a vision and move towards it and you start looking how things just come your way? He said, exactly. I got my boys out there in the sandblaster sanding off the rust. So it's become this whole family dynamic. And I know we're out of time. We'll be right back after this.
5 Star Life is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to changing the face of culture by changing kids' mindsets. Since 2005, we've impacted hundreds of thousands of lives thanks to the generous support of individuals, small businesses, corporations, and foundations. Are you interested in helping 5 Star Life grow into all 50 states? With your donation or introduction, you can help bring 5 Star Life to your community, school, and state. Go to 5starlife.org and send us an email today. That's FIVESTARLIFE.org.
Welcome back to the 5 Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in the studio with Coach Mia.
Thank you, Seth. I love the stories of Snap.
Yeah,
so inspiring.
I went long, but producer Arnold is in the house back here too. I want to acknowledge you, Arnold.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. What's going on, guys?
And we're, I was talking about this story, this family, and it's fun to watch them transform and grow. Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting we're all just kids in big people's bodies. And you think about the power of this program, it's because how many people do you have that dream with you, it encourage you? If you're blessed, you have people like that. Most people don't. That's what this program is revealing to me. Most people don't have people that support them and check in on them and are just encouraging them and challenging them. And so the power of the program is when you get parents dreaming and envisioning and their kids watching that happen. Kids, what they want is they want to be connected to their parents. They want to be believed in. We just help them do that together. Yeah, so very powerful. Great opportunity. Again, if you listen to that last segment and you're like, man, this sounds like something I want to be a part of, we need you to be part of it. Like, we cannot grow this program without your support and your help. So I really want to encourage you to go to 5starlife.org to learn more, to click the volunteer button and apply or just inquire. And then if you want to get behind this financially and be a part of growing this program, go to 5starlife.org. There's so many ways to donate. And let me tell you, we will take that donation and we will turn your dollar into $2 or $4 or $10. That's just how we do it. We get matching funds. It's how we've grown this thing from the beginning. One of the things I want to also highlight, there's so many great conversations we have with parents too. So last night, we did this challenge, and the challenge was the parent and the kid had to sit straight across from each other, like shoulders square, and look eye to eye, and simply say, if you really knew me, and then fill in the blank. And then the student come back and just listen. If you really knew me, you'd know, and you can't respond. You just have to listen. You're listening. You're practicing active listening. You're practicing connection and communicating. Here's something I'd like to share.
Wow.
And yeah, so the feedback was in Coach Christian, who's a faithful volunteer, has been with us for almost the start of this program, like a year and a half. He led the game, and afterwards he debriefed and just said, how did that feel? How'd that go? And it was like the mixed bag, like there was this apprehension. And he said, did it feel awkward for anybody? Like just about every kid's hand went up. And he said, why did it feel awkward? And this one kid just said, because like I was apprehensive to share because just fear of being judged. And Christian turned to the parent and said, what do you think about that? Parents said, well, I don't know why he should care about, being judged by anybody, and I totally get that. But you think about the disconnect there. Think about the disconnect. Mm-hmm. You have a kid who is being vulnerable and honest, saying, I'm apprehensive and it was awkward because I'm worried about what you think, what you're going to say. And the dad, it's totally, he's missing the fact that like, he's trying to tell me something like, you're not a safe place. You have all the answers all the time. You're judging me all the time. And this is a hard conversation. I was just actually talking to, I was just having a conversation about this very thing with somebody who just said, actually it was Jim.
Yeah.
We were talking about a situation we have in 5-Star, and we were talking about how he said, it's so hard for parents who know everything, because parents, we know a lot about our kids, mm-hmm. but it's so hard when you see it. It's so hard to parent them as they grow up and to know when to ask the question, when to say something, when to step in, and when to just let it sit and let them share and let them figure it out and let them invite you into that space of coaching. Right?
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just reminiscing as a parent, those moments, you're always pressed for time. And, I would push it just because like, we got to solve this now. That's how I am. I want to get it over with. I just want to solve it. And that's not good.
Yeah. It's not going to be done in a vacuum, mm-hmm. because kids are processing. And so, but it's so interesting. You think about parenting, and we work with so many parents of adolescent kids. So it's the phase of letting go. It's the phase of changing the way you talk to your kids. And so much of the clashes and issues are a part of them not being able to grow as parents. Like, and this isn't judgmental, because I'm doing it right now. I've got teenage boys. Mm-hmm. I have to change as a parent. So I can't just snap out orders and expect them to jump through the hoops, because they're not 5 years old anymore. I can't grab them by the arm. It's relationship. Mm-hmm. And I have to be able to read what they can handle. And it's parents that do, if we as parents don't grow, we provide loads of heartache for our kids. Like, we do damage to our kids. And I know some people think, well, that's soft, that's hard. And that's what parents will say. They'll say, well, I'm old school. Like, well, that's fine to be old school, right? But you also got to think of how much value do you have in this relationship? And how much wisdom do you have? And what is your ability to get down to their level and understand you're here, they're here.
A lot of parents, though, are parenting out of the way that they were parented. We were parented old school. Well, I mean, I was. And, being the fifth one, by the fifth one, it's like, oh, I don't have room to even listen to what you have to say. This is how it's going, and you remember that even as an adult. So I think, but you also have to step back and, you know what, you're not your parent.
Yeah. And so, back full circle to this SNAP conversation where it's going over the dad's head, I just said, listen, what you're saying is truth. Your son needs to learn how to make sure the opinions of others don't really matter to him in a positive way. I mean, you want to get wisdom. But make sure you understand this, Dad. And I looked at all the parents and said, listen, parents, what his son just said is powerful, and everybody should take note of this. Parents carry a heavy weight. What you think and what you say will always forever carry weight with your kids. It's designed by God that way. And you have to understand that you don't want your kids to say, well, you shouldn't put so much weight in what I say. Because at the next turn, you'll say, well, how come you're not listening to me? Mm-hmm. But you got to know there's weight in what you say. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all and just love your kid in that moment and just listen. So it's learning to adapt as a parent and say, this is a listening moment and a supporting moment. So after I have two high school boys playing basketball. After a basketball game, I'm a basketball coach. I played college basketball. I see it all. I see everything that happens. I see everything that happens in the game. He comes off the court after the game. I could really help him. I could really coach him up. But I know that's the last thing in the world that I should do in that moment. Because what my kids want in that moment is, all they want to know is Dad proud of me? Mm-hmm. Is Dad proud? They can see it in my eyes, in my face, and in my word. Is he proud? And so the best thing I can do after a game, whether they played the best game or the worst game, is be proud of them. Man, I love you. Great game. I had so much fun watching you. And when our kids share something with us that we don't want to hear, there's such power in just taking it and just saying, wow, that's a lot. Thank you for sharing that. It may be crazy, it may be harmful, but the weight of what they're sharing, instead of the fear-based, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment, when we operate out of fear, we go into this space that ruins and damages our kids. Go to 5starlife.org at the break. We'll be back right after this.
5-Star Life offers year-round programs for kids at our 350-acre training facility that we call Summit. These programs focus on 3 core components. First, each program includes lessons from our curriculum that targets kids' mindset. Secondly, each program teaches a skill like equine, archery, blacksmithing, basketball, fishing, boating, and many more. Thirdly, our programs connect kids to mentors we call coaches, who are trained to help kids live a 5-star life. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more or sign up your kids.
Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in the studio with Coach Mia.
Hey, Seth. Go ahead.
And Coach Arnold, producer Arnold.
What's going on?
Talked right over him. I'm sorry.
So, we've been talking about the impact 5-Star Life is having with innovative learning. We've talked a little bit about the SNAP Leadership Program. And again, coming off of the awards night last night and kind of the close of another cohort, there was just so much impact. And, you see on the way out, families saying, see you next cohort. Mm-hmm. So they're coming back. And we've got a new cohort of families coming in. So we take a week off and then we hit it again. So it kind of runs. There's always an on-ramp to join the program. Again, if you are a person who really is like, man, I have a passion for kids in this situation, or parents, we need both sides of the volunteer aisle to come through and be a part of this if we're going to grow it, because we're going to start opening up the funnel so that right now JJC can refer kids, South Bend Police Department can refer kids and families, And we're going to start opening up the funnel. We're having some conversations early on with schools and groups like that. So we're going to scale this, but we're going to need more people that want to be trained to be a part of this process. And there's nothing more fulfilling than coming alongside people who are sponges. And that's what this is. I mean, the kids and the parents both, they're just great people that just don't have support. And it's amazing how coming alongside of them and giving them a curriculum track where they're growing and stretching. And the cool thing is all of our volunteers say, like, they stay with 5-Star because they're growing. Like, they get so much out of it.
I was just going to say that. And to be under your teaching and leadership is a gift, because not many people, even a lot of our own staff, don't get to be under Seth. So it's a incredible opportunity.
It's fun. It is a joy. So check that out. The last thing I'll say about Snap, that cohort, is there was a young lady who came in the first day, would not look you in the eye, look at the shoes in conversation. I called on her because I do that right at the beginning of the cohort. I start calling on kids to answer questions in front of the group, just to let them know, like, I'm giving you a heads up. We're going to be interactive, and you're going to find your voice, right? You have so much inside of you. And she was like petrified and didn't like it. It was uncomfortable. But one of the things that she wrote in their journal in the session was like, I don't want to be socially awkward, and I don't want to have social anxiety. I want to be more social. And so she just made this shift in her mind, and her challenge was like, I'm going to start engaging in class discussions at school. I'm going to start engaging at Snap and 5-Star. And so she came back the next week, and she was the first person to raise her hand to answer a question. And she had her, like, she walked in differently. She had her eyes up. She was like engaged. And so it was so fun to watch those changes in kids. I mean, there's academic changes that takes place, but just to see the confidence and to see them, the epiphany of like, I get to choose how I walk into a room, how I interact with people. I get to choose that. I'm to stay where I'm at.
Well, you give them hope. So.
Yeah, so very, very powerful. If you're listening or watching this, just a reminder, you can watch this on YouTube, and you can comment at the 5-Star Life, and you can listen to this anywhere podcasts are streamed. But if you have questions or you have topics about anything we're talking about, or even if you disagree, like, hey, you have a counter thought, we would love to bring that in and start to answer those things and give us a take. And if you have a better take, we'd love to dialogue about that. What do you want to talk about the rest of the show here? We got a few minutes left.
Gosh, what do we have going on?
So we've got innovative learning. We've got Snap. We also have travel basketball. Tryouts are right upon us. So the boys basketball, travel basketball program tryouts are coming up. There's still time to register. It's down to the wire, but it's happening right now. So that's fun.
Another big push is we are hiring for summer, and actually the spring and summer. We've got a jam-packed spring and summer.
Yes, we do have a jam-packed spring and jam-packed summer. So if you have an interest in working with us to transform kids' lives at Summit, or even through Snap, and we posted a job. We're hiring for Snap as well. So some opportunities. We're looking for a leadership position. We're interviewing some really qualified people, but there's opportunities through 5-Star to grow with us and help us grow and impact more kids.
Mm-hmm. Arnold, do you have anything you can think of?
I mean, just general thoughts, not specifically about what we have going on, but just kind of like a broad overview, or kind of like what I'm getting from today's episode. Need to switch the camera here. What's up, guys? That's my face. But yeah, so I mean, we're talking lots of good stuff from this episode. At the end of the day, our theme for this year is breakthrough. And you think about the fact that, hey, we're a character leadership mindset development program. And you take that concept and you put faces, you put stories to the idea of why we even do this to begin with. And you get stories like the parent that had that breakthrough moment at Snap. And you think about that parent, you think about the way they were parented, just like Mia was saying, and maybe they were parented in a different way that produced this, but they have this breakthrough moment with their kids at Snap. And then guess who they're bringing along with them? Guess what cycles are going to be broken? guess what, breakthroughs are going to happen. And that's why we love what we do. And again, if you're in our listening audience, if you're watching this on YouTube, we talked about potentially, we have tons of opportunities to get involved. But this is why we encourage you to get involved, because you can be a part of something that's bringing this level of change, generational change to individuals. So love it.
Join the 5-Star Nation. Be a part of the 5-Star Nation.
Join the 5-Star
That's
Nation.
what we want. That's exactly what we want.
Let's go.
Yeah. So there's so much impact happening, and I'm doing tomorrow morning. I've been doing a 4 lesson series with a local business with all their leadership team members, and I've been walking them through this leadership series that we're talking about here. And we talked about this whole failure aspect. I mean, if you want to be a leader, if you want to have influence, like how we deal with failure is a big deal. And I think, we talked about this in a previous episode, but I want to piggyback on this whole parenting thing. Parenting is hard. It's so hard because every kid is so different. Every situation is so unique. And so as a parent, I've failed so many times. But the key is learning through failure, not doing the same thing. And I think where we go wrong is when we don't learn from failure, because we have such a fear of failure. We just do the head in the sand thing, or the la, 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 la. We don't want to see our own failure sometimes. So we just run from our failure instead of staying in there and absorbing it and really thinking critically about, okay, why did this not work out? I thought I approached this correctly, but it's not like we try to fail. Like, what went wrong? Where did I go wrong? What's wrong with my mindset? And then bringing others into that. And I think the SNAP program is so powerful because there's an environment where we can do just that. Right. We can talk about where we're struggling, and it's no judgment. Mm-hmm. And where in the world can you have those conversations? I mean, it's hard to have those with family because they'll judge you. And they've got all the quick answers. And it's like, thank you very much for every single answer that I've already tried.
Yeah.
Well,
And you don't want to share at work in fear of, again, judgment, or it may affect your job.
Yes.
So where do you go?
So it's very hard. So we feel like, you can feel like the pressure valve is just like being released as they're every week that goes on in the program, where it's like they just feel so like good that they have a safe place. And it's not like the safe place just to whine and complain. It's the safe place to brainstorm. And so they're very open to suggestions. So you have parents that are sharing their perspectives and ideas. It's very powerful. So come be a part of it. We've got so much going on at 5starlife.org. If you've never been to our website, you got to go check it out. And here's the question. How do you want to impact the world? And the easiest way you can impact the world is by sharing with others about the impact 5-Star Life is having in schools and detention centers, and with kids that are not in the detention center yet, and then through our 350-acre facility in Union, Michigan. Check us out online. Be a part of the solution. And I want to encourage you, like we have a very practical way for you to get involved coming up soon. The end of April, we do our annual radiothon. And it's 95.3 MNC shuts down their airwaves for us. Actually, they keep them open, but they allow us to come and do programming to talk about these stories. But this is your opportunity to start thinking about like what you and your family and your business, maybe you guys should consider getting involved with this. It's fun. We have a call center. You can call in and donate, and we'll shout you out. It's a lot of fun. We're out of time. Thanks so much for tuning in.
At 5-Star Life, we are changing the face of culture through education and sports by changing the most important piece of a human being's life, their mindset. If you are interested in being a part of our journey, please visit 5starlife.org for more information on volunteer and donation opportunities.